just want my friend back.
It's funny how R&B finds you. Not when you're loud, not when you're trying to prove something. It finds you when the house is quiet, when the streetlights look tired, when the radio is low enough that only you can hear it, when you're sitting on the edge of a bed, staring at nothing, and that one chord comes in like a hand on your shoulder, and you already know what I'm talking about. You know that one song, the one that changes the whole room on the first note. Tonight, that's the mission. Not the same 10 songs everybody names to sound smart. I'm talking about the records that real heads kept alive on cassette, on burned CDs, on late-night radio requests. The ones that didn't always get the full shine, because label politics were messy, trends changed fast, radio moved on, and some artists got stuck in the shadow of bigger moments. But the music never left your body. So yeah, tonight we're counting down 12 R&B soul songs we'll never forget. Deep cuts, slow jam staples, and quiet storm memories that still hit like they're brand new. Turn the lights down, you're locked in. Let's get into it. I remember hearing this one and thinking, hold up, who are these voices? That first time, it felt like the song leaned in close, like it wasn't performing for a crowd. It was talking to one person, in the dark, in confidence. The vibe is pure mid-90s R&B warmth, steady drums, smooth bass, and harmonies stacked like soft blankets. It's not a song you rush, it's a song you melt into, the kind that makes you drive slower, just to stay inside the feeling. In context, Kut Klose came through with a sound that sat right in that sweet spot, right between the church-trained vocals and the grown folks' radio lane. And I Like became the record that introduced a lot of people to them. Fun fact, this was their biggest Hot 100 moment, the song that pushed them into the wider spotlight. Why it slept on? Because time can be cruel to groups who only get one big mainstream push. But real R&B heads never forgot this one. If you know it on the first note, you've got serious taste. This song used to show up like a secret. You'd hear it on the radio late, and the DJ would play it like they were doing you a favor. The emotional trigger for me is that gentle, almost acoustic softness under the vocals. G.H.E.T.O.U.T didn't have to yell. They didn't have to oversing. They just floated, and that's what made it dangerous. Because a soft song can break you in half if it's honest enough. The mood is romantic, but not sugary. It's that grown kind of romance. When you're not chasing, you're choosing. Warm keys, smooth groove, vocals sitting right in the pocket. The kind of record that turns a regular room into a slow dance without anybody speaking. Documentary-wise, it was one of G.H.E.T.O.U.T's biggest singles, and it proved they could do tenderness, not just the flash and the hype that surrounded their era. Fun fact, there's also a remix version that brought extra attention, but the heart of the song is still that original feeling, soft and direct. Why it slept on? Because people remember the bigger bad boy moments, the louder ones. But Kissin You is for the ones who actually listen. Real heads keep this in rotation. If you ever wanted proof that harmony can feel like body language, play this song. The first time I heard Grapevyne, it was like the vocals were braiding together. One voice leading, the others rapping around it. And the hook? The hook had that "don't play with me" energy, but it was still musical, still classy. The vibe is confident heartbreak, like you already know the truth, you just want them to admit it. The drums knock gently, the groove stays smooth, and the vocals do the heavy lifting. It's one of those records where the singers sound like they mean every syllable. Grapevyne came from Brownstone's debut era. when groups still cared about real vocal blending, real arrangements, real soul inside modern R&B. Fun fact, it was a top R&B hit, even if it didn't explode the same way on the pop side. Why it slept on? Because when people bring up Brownstone, they usually run straight to the biggest anthem. But Grapevyne is a whole mood. Grown folks music, the kind you feel, not just hear. This one? This one was a moment. I remember the way it came on, like a door slamming, but in slow motion. The track had attitude, but it also had pain under it. And when the chorus hits, it's not just a hook, it's a decision. The vibe is breakup clarity. Not screaming, not begging, just done. The beat is slick, the bounce is clean, and the vocals ride it with that "we've been through enough" energy. In context, G.H.E.T.T.O.U.T wasn't just a small record, it dominated R&B radio. It's one of those songs that crossed from your headphones into the culture because everybody had a situation they needed to leave. Fun fact, it spent serious time at #1 on the R&B chart. That's not an accident, that's a community choosing a song. Keep on walking 'cause I can't do better by myself. Why it slept on now? Because eras move fast, and people love to pretend the 90s was only about the same few names. But this record? This was real life. If you know it word for word, you've lived a little. This song feels like a warm Saturday afternoon that turns into a long night. The first impact is that smooth confidence, like the track is smiling while it walks toward you. It's not in a hurry, but it's not sleepy either. It's got that head nod groove that makes you feel cooler than you actually are. Mood-wise, Get It Together is classic 90s. Clean drums, sweet melody, and vocals that feel like a group conversation. It's flirty, but it's also firm, like, I like you, but don't waste my time. In context, this was a major breakthrough moment for them. One of those singles that made people stop and pay attention beyond one song. Fun fact, it was written and produced by Donald Jones, which makes perfect sense when you really listen to the structure and the smoothness. Why it slept on? Because people remember the later club moments, the bigger chants. But this is the one that lives on Quiet Storm Radio, on playlists labeled 1997, and in the memories of anybody who grew up with the TV low and the stereo warm. This is one of those songs that taught people how to sing and how to promise. I remember hearing Joe on this record and thinking, this man is not playing. It's not just the lyrics, it's how he holds the notes, how he sounds like he's looking you in the eye. The vibe is grown man pleading, but tasteful. Smooth groove, steady drums, clean keys. Everything set up to let the vocal performance be the headline. This is late night conversation music, the kind that makes you text somebody you shouldn't. Context-wise, it first hit as part of a soundtrack moment before it became a cornerstone of his bigger album era, and it turned into one of those songs that kept getting requested because it hit a very human nerve. Fun fact, it was his first big Hot 100 hit, one of those welcome to the mainstream records. Why it slept on today? Because newer R&B moves faster, and patience is rare. But this record is patient. It builds. It persuades. Real heads never let it go. If cool had a sound in the mid-90s, it lived right here. The first time I heard Lady, it didn't feel like a song. It felt like a scene. Like somebody just opened the door to a room full of incense, candlelight, and grown conversation. The vibe is neo-soul before people even knew what to call it. Live feeling groove, smooth pocket, vocals that slide instead of punch. And the way D'Angelo phrases? He sings like he's leaning back, smiling, sure of himself. Context. Lady became his biggest US hit, and it helped cement that whole movement where R&B started reaching back to soul, without losing its modern swagger. Fun fact, there was a remix version with AZ, and it got its own visuals too, showing how much life the song had. Why it slept on? Because when people say D'Angelo, they jump to the most iconic moment and stop there. But Lady is a whole blueprint. If you know this track, you don't just like R&B, you understand it. This one is not just music, it's a decision you make with your eyes closed. The first impact is Erykah's tone, soft, honest, almost conversational. Like she's telling you the truth, even though it hurts her to say it. Mood-wise, it's a mid-tempo soul confession. The groove is gentle, the atmosphere is deep, and the story is complicated. It's about wanting somebody you can't have, not because you don't love them, but because life is already set up a certain way. Context. This came from her debut album era, when neo-soul was opening a new door, where you could be poetic, spiritual, street, and tender all at once. Fun fact, it was released as a single in that early wave of her rise, right after On and On. Why it slept on? Because it's not loud. It doesn't chase a trend, it just tells the truth slowly. This is grown folks' music. Music for people who've had to walk away from what they wanted. This song feels like somebody finally letting love be soft without being weak. The first time I heard it, it didn't hit me like a hook. It hit me like a testimony. Like Jill wasn't performing. She was remembering. The vibe is pure soul and warmth.
Love me. You like me.
The chords are rich, the groove breathes, and Jill's voice carries that mix of strength and tenderness that only comes from living. It's romance, but it's also gratitude. It's the kind of song that makes you believe in love again, at least for 4 minutes. Context-wise, this song became a major moment through her live recording era, and it lived heavy on music television and late-night playlists.
Think about and by me, you ignite.
Fun fact, it was written about her then husband, and it even earned a Grammy nomination for her performance.
Chorus.
Why it slept on? Because some people treat Jill Scott like background music, which is crazy. This is center stage soul. If you know this one, you know what real singing feels like.
And really, I just want my friend back.
This record right here is the sound of being in love and trying to act normal in public. The first impact is that melody. It's playful but aching, like he's smiling while his heart is doing backflips. And when Musique starts singing, it feels like you're reading somebody's private journal. But it's got a groove.
I'd hate to walk.
Mood-wise, it's sweet, it's warm, it's classic early 2000s R&B that still respected musicianship. Smooth pocket, gentle bounce, and that storytelling that makes you picture a specific person. Half Crazy became his biggest Hot 100 hit, and it helped define that era where R&B could be vulnerable again, without turning into pop fluff.
I'd hate to walk away from you as if this never...
Fun fact, the single release was vinyl only, and it samples a piece connected to a classic French melody line, part of why it feels so familiar and dreamy.
You as if this never existed, 'cause when we kiss...
Why it slept on today? Because people act like the early 2000s was only about the club. Nah, this was the heart. If you've ever been stuck on someone and hated yourself for it, you understand this song. You want a song that feels like two people speaking without words? This is it. The first time I heard Dance With Me, I remember thinking, this is not radio music, this is private music. The kind of track you play when you want the room to feel expensive, even if you're sitting on a thrift store couch. The vibe is sleek and slow, with a grown sensuality that never gets messy. It's not trying to shock you, it's trying to pull you closer. The groove has that quiet storm polish, smooth guitar touches, deep pocket drums, and Maxwell singing like he's right behind your ear, but still respectful. Context. It lives on Maxwell's Urban Hang Suite, one of the albums that helped shape the whole neo-soul lane, music that sounded like romance, nightlife, and real life all braided together. Fun fact, Dance With Me is credited as a deep cut with Maxwell and Hod David behind the writing and production, part of that signature sound people still chase. Why it's slept on? Because it's not the single everybody names first. But real heads know the album cuts are where the truth lives. This is grown folks music. No gimmicks, just mood.
Oh, the world it seems so very small.
Some songs don't just remind you of a person. They remind you of who you were when you loved them. The first time I heard this, it felt like the world slowed down. Electric piano, soft pocket, and two voices that sound like they're holding hands. Lauren's tone is steady and sincere, and D'Angelo comes in like a warm shadow, smooth and sure.
Oh, 'cause nothing even matters at all.
The mood is pure intimacy, not flashy romance, real romance. The kind where the outside world gets quiet, where you stop performing and start resting. This is from The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, and it sits in that space where hip-hop, soul, and quiet storm all blend into one adult feeling. It's a love song, but it's also a sanctuary. Fun fact, because of old chart rules back then, songs like this could be huge on airplay and still not hit the main Hot 100 the way you'd expect. It later charted once the rules changed, and it even earned a Grammy nomination for Duo Group Performance.
Your love makes me feel 10 feet tall.
Why it slept on? Because people talk about Lauren like she's only one type of artist. But this record proves she could do tenderness at the highest level, and pairing her with D'Angelo was just unfair. If you know this track, you've got serious taste. This is grown folks music, the kind you feel in your chest, not just your ears.
Oh, not even if my boss should call. The world it seems so.
So let me ask you, which one took you back the hardest? And what's one deep cut you'll defend forever, even if nobody around you remembers it? If you felt this countdown, tap like, subscribe, and tell me what era we should do next. 80s Quiet Storm, 90s Slow Jams, early 2000s Heartbreak R&B, Neo Soul Essentials? Either way, keep the volume low and the feelings honest. Same time tomorrow.